Hey guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the top life goal of millennials. So let's talk about that. Okay, first off, I want to say thanks to everybody who watched my video last week. This is totally random, but after I edited it and uploaded it, I looked at it and my chin was orange. I don't know why. Sometimes the lighting is weird. And then for some reason that video is getting a lot of views and I was like, oh, I got an orange chin, and not one of you mentioned it. So thanks. But thanks to everybody who watched my video last week. And so this week we're going to talk about the top life goal of millennials. So millennials, the oldest millennial is 40. So there's a lot of stuff coming out in the news recently about millennials. And so I found this article that I was reading from Inc.com, which says 94% of millennials, their top life goal is, what do you think it is? Getting out of debt. I was like, oh my gosh, getting out of debt. So millennials are spending more. I think the article that I read said that they spend $2,800 more either per month or per year than baby boomers per year. $2,300 more per year than baby boomers, according to bankrate.com. And they say a lot of that spending is on credit cards. And 68% of millennials that were polled in this article say that the debt has a negative impact on their life. Well, yeah, okay, and that it's causing so much stress that it impacts their personal relationships, their career, all this stuff, right, that we already know. I definitely know that. It certainly impacted me personally in that way. It impacted my marriage. We had a lot of fighting, and it was just so incredibly stressful. It impacted which jobs I took and how long I stayed in certain jobs that weren't, even the ones that were toxic culture. I stayed places I shouldn't have stayed for longer because we had debt and I knew that I needed the money to make our minimum payments on everything. So it absolutely impacted my career. And so this article says that the average debt carried by a millennial is $42,000. And that's not just in student loans, that includes credit cards as well. And I'm sure you've heard of the student loan epidemic. So many people have student loan debt, and the problem I think is a lot of people think that it's not bad debt. And then so they just think, oh, it's fine, I'll be able to pay it off. But then when they get out of college, if they even graduate, a lot of times they are not making the incomes that they think they're going to make. And so it's a lot harder to pay back, or they, I don't know, maybe they didn't even think about it as far as how much the payment would be, didn't even think about how much they'd be making in the career that they chose or what they went to school for. So maybe it was never even really realistically possible to really pay it back quickly. And so it just sort of hangs on for 10 plus years, their student loan debt, and really hinders their ability to build wealth. And like I was saying earlier, their ability to build relationships or to really further their career in the way that they want to, because they feel like they have to they just take a job just because it makes money, any kind of money, because they know that they have these minimum payments they have to make. And then they're sort of stuck in it. They're afraid to leave, to try something new, or go to another company because, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work out and then I can't make my payment? So it's a big deal. And so this article also said 23% said that the debt that they carry makes them feel physically ill. Physically ill. And yes, I think that it does make you feel physically ill. And for myself, it made me feel like I had literal chains, like I was in Ebenezer Scrooge, the Jacob Marley with the chains, like weighing me down. Like I felt that in my spirit. Okay, so Think Advisor posted an article with the top 3 goals of millennials. So those 3 goals were debt repayment, travel, and saving more in retirement. Okay, now I'm going to read the last sentence, or last paragraph, sorry, from this Inc.com article, because I really think it's great, and I wholeheartedly believe this. Okay, so it says, here it is. For the vast majority of millennials, managing debt is a gut-twisting, shame-invoking, heart-palpitating experience. It can affect your mental health, your physical health, and your sense of self-worth. Now, I love this paragraph because I think it's perfect, really. So I think all these things are true. And I think if you don't have debt, or you're from an older generation maybe who didn't carry as much debt, you don't really understand the feelings that are involved. And how I remember when I was in debt and I was talking to my father about how I had all this debt, and he just said, "Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, it's no big deal. Oh, everybody has debt. It's fine." That's just, he just, and it just was, I don't think that you can really understand how consuming it is. I think somewhere in some of these articles it said that it's all that you think about. And it is so true. When you have a massive amount of debt and you are struggling to work and to earn more and to make your payments, but then if you're also going out and just trying to live life, go to restaurants, spend time, travel, do what you think everybody else is doing, like on Instagram, you see people traveling, doing all this stuff, buying new cars. So you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to do what everybody else is doing, but you have all this debt that you're trying to pay off. Maybe you're not even trying to pay it off, you're just trying to make your minimum payments. But it really is, it just weighs you down and impacts every part of your life. And that's why I just hate it. I hate it so much. I can't stand it. And my ultimate dream is that younger generations coming up will realize how horrible it is and stop using credit cards, stop borrowing money at all. And if they don't have the money for it, they don't buy it, just because I really think it releases something in your spirit to not have all of this debt, to owe money to others, because you literally do feel like a slave. And it's a horrible feeling. It is so bad. And it does impact all areas of your life. And you're just walking around feeling half dead inside. And so I just really hope that in the future, it is not something that people do. Just kind of like I always compare it to cigarettes, that in the future we'll look back and be like, man, I can't believe everybody used those credit cards. I can't believe everybody borrowed all that money for their educations. That's crazy. We don't do that anymore. So I kind of really, that's what I'm hoping for the future, is that we're going to have a shift. And I kind of feel like there is a shift happening right now. And I love that this article sort of shows that the top goal of millennials is to get out of debt, because then I feel like at least there's an awareness of how it sucks and that we don't want to be in debt anymore. And hopefully all these millennials will be teaching their children to not borrow money, because it takes so long. It can be so painful to get it out of your life once it's there. It's sort of like, it's very easy to gain weight and you don't really notice it. And you can gain weight rather rapidly, and then trying to get the weight off sometimes can take 4 times as long, and it's so much more difficult to get it off than it is to put on. Debt's the same way. You can just kind of accumulate debt. That's why people say a lot of times, I get a lot of comments on my channel like, I use credit cards, but we pay it off every month and we get the reward points, and I know people are on top of that. That's fine, that works for them, but it is still like you're playing with snakes, and there is that chance you're going to be bitten. So for me, for us and our family, like, I don't want anything to do with it, just because I see it as a risk. It's like you can stand on the edge of the Grand Canyon and look down, and most likely you're going to be okay if you're careful. But I just feel like there's still a risk that you're going to, the wind's going to pick up, or somebody might nudge you by accident and you go over the cliff. So there's that risk. And I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be tempted. I don't want to be using my credit card. We don't have credit cards, but using a credit card for the points or the rewards. And then, we had a really bad month. Oh my gosh, like something serious happened. We had to go into the emergency room, or we had to go have a hospital stay. And because we had to pay that bill, now we can't pay off that credit card bill from the month. And then it carries over and carries over. So that's where the risk is for me. And so I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to get bit. And so, So anyway, I hope future generations don't see it as being something they want anything to do with. And yeah. Oh, and then, yes, I wanted to talk about the shame. The shame of it when you have debt. And I think a lot of people don't talk about it because they feel shameful. And it's something like with weight, you can't really hide that when you gain weight. Everybody can see it. But when you start to accumulate debt and it sneaks up on you or whatever, or you just, had a couple of bad calls and you borrowed more money than you probably should have, which is, more than $1 is more than you probably should have, but you've borrowed money. It's very, you feel like, oh my gosh, whoops. And you feel shameful and people can't see it. So it's very easy to hide it. But then like you might be out at a restaurant with friends eating, buying stuff, having a good time. Then you go home and you look at your bills, or you have bills coming in that you're even afraid to look at. They start piling up. Nobody can really see that, but you know it. So you're walking around with this horrible, shameful feeling. And that's awful. It's so awful. Okay, so if you have debt, if you're working on getting out of it, or if you have no idea how to get out of it, I always say that it can be really hard, but you just have to start. You have to just start. First step is acknowledging it, and second step is to start to take the steps to pay it off, right? So, whatever plan you're following. If you're following Dave Ramsey's baby steps, like we have followed, we love Dave Ramsey's baby steps. But if you don't like that, it doesn't work for you, then don't do that. But look for some other method, or at least try to stop borrowing more money. That's definitely the first step. Stop borrowing any more money. If you can just do that, then eventually you'll get out of debt if you're making your minimum payments. Obviously, you probably want to get out of your life a lot sooner than that, but if you can just commit to not borrowing any more money, that alone will get you started. And then I have a whole bunch of other videos on my channel. If this is the first video of mine that you're watching on how to get out of debt, I'll link a few of them down below or up in the sky. And if it's your first time here, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. I'm here every single Tuesday talking all about money, and we're a family of 6 living in the Philadelphia area, and I work full-time in finance and do this on the side. And I also like to develop shirts, so I'm just designing shirts, so check out my merch shop if you haven't already. That's also linked down below. And I just uploaded my first TikTok recently, so I don't know how that's gonna go, but but I'm also on TikTok now. So yeah, all right, you guys, that's it. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.